All right, y'all. So Kid Buu is officially in game, and this guy is absolutely incredible. I think that he is definitely one of the best technicals in the game, if not the best. Easily top three, though, is my personal opinion. Now, the thing about this guy is he does take a bit of skill and planning ahead of time just to make sure you're able to utilize his skill one properly, for example. And the point of this guy is that he like splits part of himself on the map, and it's really interesting. So I think this guy, whilst he takes some getting used to and skill, he could be a very big menace. So we'll be hopping right into it, and let me know what you guys think. All right, to start things off, we'll be talking about Kid Buu's passive and his rush attacks, which are pretty simple. Essentially, as this guy gets hit, parts will split off of his body, and it will do a couple of different effects depending on what happens. Movement speed down is actually applied to enemies in range of the parts that scatter around him. Then with his rush attacks, the parts transform into clones, which do actually apply all defense down and additional damage to the enemy. Now we can see this Vegeta attacking me right here. Again, after a certain amount of HP I lose, I do get a part that scatters around my body. And then with this part here, it turns into like that little clone, and it actually does attack the enemy directly, dealing some additional damage. Now this is also in conjunction with like the parts in general. So, the more parts that scatter around you, the more damage you take, the more you would be able to essentially do to your enemy. And again, it is overall just pretty cool to see, and it really helps him out quite a bit just in general. Now we can go ahead and turn off the attack, just keep Vegeta from attacking me. But again, we see here it also applies movement speed down, so just in general, as long as they're in that range, they're gonna have a harder time of escaping and be defensively debuffed, which could be quite huge. First, we have Kid Buu skill 1, which is the arm ball, and it's very straightforward. You have 2 stocks in the skill, and depending on the level, you will be able to throw more of your own parts onto the enemy or wherever area you want to go. So I could just throw it right here and then right here, and if I'm backing the enemy into this direction, I could just utilize the parts. Same thing as I was talking about with the passive. We see that there's an all defense debuff right there, which is really good. Now the cooldown for each of these parts is about 4 seconds, so that's pretty nice, and you're able to throw out a part every 4 seconds. You're able to do it in the middle of a combo and just continue to do some extra damage and provide some extra defensive debuff. Now this doesn't really change that much at the higher levels. Again, as you see at level 2, you just throw 2 parts. Then at level super, you actually end up throwing 3 parts with having a higher range. And again, at this max level, you just get a bunch of parts available, and you can just keep stacking them over and over. Now they of course do disappear as you use more of them, but you can get a lot of these parts here, and they combine with your passive skill, they combine with a bunch of different things, and you see we're just able to do a lot of damage. As long as you're within the range right there, as you can see, it'll just fly over to the enemy. Kid Buu has a pretty good rush attack range, but this also does combine with his skill 2 and skill 3, plus his ultimate, which is why I wanted to talk about this arm ball first. It is going to be by far the most interesting part of his kit, because you could set these in any place you want to, kind of plan ahead. Again, give that defense debuff, movement speed down as well if they're in the area of the skill right here. Is you see the movement speed debuff as long as he's standing within the area of the bits. Just really interesting kit altogether, and you could do some really nasty things with this. Next, we have Kid Buu's skill 2, which is the leg hook. You essentially will aim at the enemy, grab them, and bring them to his direction, while also stunning them. Pretty just simple, straightforward move, not really much to say. The range does extend if you're actually hitting the enemy with different parts. So you see here the range is just normal, but if we are having a part in the way, the range does further extend, which I find to be really, really interesting. Now, again, we can go all the way over here, and once the cooldown does actually refresh, I should have turned on lower cooldowns here. We could see again, it doesn't really matter. It's just only one part that extends it, but if it isn't hitting a part specifically, it won't. But I could go all the way from here, still hit Vegeta, bring him over here and stagger him. So again, this is what I was talking about, where his skill 1, if you place these properly, you can do some really fun things. Now this skill doesn't really gain too much benefit from being leveled up. I mean, the range itself does increase, which is nice, and you can see you can go a very far way right here by having these parts out. So if you, again, unlock your camera and you know where the enemy's at, you can just grab them up from over there, bam, and, you know, continue attacking them, debuff them, etc. This skill probably doesn't need that much investment though. And for the normal skills, we have skill 3, which is the noisy chest strumming. Now this one is the most text, but there's not really too much to say. You gain extra HP and apply a movement speed debuff when you are hitting the enemy with this skill. It does have about a 13-second cooldown if I'm not mistaken, so because of that we're going to shorten it. Then what happens is, again, if there's any parts within the AoE, they'll transform into clones and deal additional attacks. AoE damage will increase based off of the amount of clones that there are. Then the power of movement speed down and the amount of additional HP are actually increased in stages. You are also able to move while you attack, and you can end the inputs early by inputting the command or using a vanishing step. So again, that's pretty cool. Again, as we continue to level up this skill, if I'm not mistaken, you will gain more HP in total, which doesn't really seem like it's that much, honestly, but it is nice. And again, if you just have a bunch of parts laying around, you could actually potentially do a lot of damage with this, as we see all these parts will become Kid Boo's just stomping his chest. So we see, again, this is like the normal kind of like range for it, but it's extended with all these Kid Boos around, and it does quite a lot of damage. And keep in mind, with these parts around, it does apply the movement speed debuff, so not only are you consistently hitting the enemy, but you're also debuffing them. You can even do this where you hit Vegeta just a little bit, defense debuff him into this skill, and then not only is he defensively debuffed, but he's also getting tons of movement speed down and receiving a lot of damage. You can even just stun him into this, right? So like, let's say we have a bunch of these around, just literally combining all of his skills, stun him into this, and yeah, that's pretty fun. pretty silly. You could even just end it early into a stun like that, you know, because he's already getting movement speed debuffed, so it could allow you to hit this a little easier if you want. As you see, I just cancel it right into the skill itself, so that's pretty fun. Next, we'll talk about Kid Boo's ultimate, which is the Earthbreaker. Now, this ultimate you are almost never going to use by itself, but just to explain the basic effects, you will throw a giant blast down at the target location, and as you see, when I do the blast, I actually turn into this blob. While I'm that blob, I'm actually immune to all effects, so that means I can't be hit by any defense down, I can't be hit by any stuns or anything like that. Like, I am just completely immune to any negative status effects, which is really good. However, it does also provide a little area of effect, as we see right there, to the enemy, which will not only give them all attack down, but it also provides all defense down when the shockwave is generated, and will deal damage over time. So as you see right here, when the shockwave is generated, all defense down is applied, and this attack is just continuously going forward and forward. Now, this becomes even stronger when you have a lot of parts just scattered around here. So again, we can go ahead and max this out here. Let's just get a bunch of these parts in this area right here. And what happens is when it's used, the parts that are in range of the ability actually do transform into a clone, which will grab nearby enemies and apply movement speed down, which makes it a lot easier to go ahead and land this ult. As you see right there, it grabs the enemy. The enemy has 5 stacks of movement speed down on himself, and this area is pretty wide. So this means multiple things, because this all defense down also applies to bosses. So in many situations, you can just throw your pieces around the boss here. When you see the enemies are close by, you can go ahead and do this, apply a bunch of this effect down. When you're immune to all, you get a lot quicker. You can even just keep applying this here and just continue to attack with your other skills. I mean, looks pretty good to me, honestly. This ultimate is very nasty, and if you time it right, you could do some incredibly nasty damage or setups with it. I mean, again, let's just throw these parts around. We could do this. He's held right there, and then even after that, I could just hit the enemy and stun them. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about is the fact that you are able to cancel the transformation upon inputting it, and during that transformation, you're immune to all. So if I want to end the transformation early, I could end it early however I want to. So again, that's pretty cool as well. I feel like in many situations, you're not going to want to end the immune to all early, especially since Kid Buu is a little bit on the lower end of HP. He's going to be a little bit squishier heading into team fights, so that's something we'll touch on a bit later, but the ultimate could be used for you to escape a crazy situation. Let's say the enemy is just, again, just right here. You use your vanish. Now you can just get away and bam, you are out of this situation pretty simply. Again, it also depends on the range that the ultimate is in, but it's not like that bad to escape when you're maxed out on the ultimate, which is really nice for him. Now, skill order with Kid Buu is very, very straightforward. I did some testing between skill 1 and skill 2, but in my personal opinion, skill 1 is the way to go. You want to max this out first above anything else. Skill 1 is just so good. It just allows you to do so much with this guy's kit. It just is what Kid Buu is. His skill 1 with his parts being split around, that's just him. Now, after I actually would recommend maxing this skill 3 even above the ultimate in most situations, just because this is Kid Buu doing a lot of damage. He gets more extra HP at higher stages, and he also applies greater movement speed down. So I think it's just really useful in a lot of these team fights, locking down the enemy and slightly increasing this guy's survivability. I think that's really important because I feel like in many times this guy's very easily able to get caught, right? While his ultimate, like, it doesn't really change anything in terms of the effect in its levels. It only really changes the range of it. And if you're going to be using this ultimate on boss or like in the middle of team fights anyways, this is not really too difficult to land. Plus again, if you have the parts around, it applies movement speed down to the enemy anyways. So it's really not that big of a deal to focus on getting this leveled up in comparison to his skill 1 and skill 3. Now with skill 2, I would grab it, let's say early on into the fight, like I would grab skill 1, then skill 3, then his skill 2, then his ultimate, then continue to just level the skills as I said. His skill 2, again, you don't really gain much from leveling it up. Like I said earlier, it doesn't increase in damage, it does not increase the stun, it just gets a slightly longer range, which, again, this range by itself is already more than enough, honestly, so it's not really that big of a deal to focus on that. For divine combo cards, I think there's two main ways you could build this guy, but they're very similar to each other. So the first card, I would always go build up. I think build up in this guy is just going to be very nice for him. It's going to allow him to survive many of these situations that he usually wouldn't be able to, because again, I do find him to be a bit squishy. Now, I mean, maybe you can go strategic escape. It's definitely not like a zero option, but I personally wouldn't really recommend it. I actually do end up going Giant Slayer for a damage card over like Snowball. I think having a build up plus Giant Slayer is just a really good combination. Kid Buu has good farm in general with his skill 1 plus skill 3, so it's not really that hard for him to get the build up stacks, and I think it'll just allow him to survive a bit better. But if you want that extra little damage, which I feel like he can do some pretty decent damage at times, having Giant Slayer will just help you a lot in these team fights, and likely you'll be able to assist in killing the enemy before they kill you, since you already have such a low amount of HP. However, you could go Steel Skin or even Solid Barrier depending on the matchup. Like if you see you're going against a Kale or even a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, maybe like a Solid Barrier could be a decent choice. Otherwise, Steel Skin could be nice as well if you just really want to make sure you are surviving in these fights with Kid Buu. I think either of these three cards are fine options. Now, finally, I think Defense Step is just what you're going to go in Kid Buu. I feel like he wants that extra defense near the end of these fights, especially with his HP being so low. Like in the match that I'm going to show as the example, I, at the end of the fight, use Defense Step through a special beam cannon. At least in one of the fights I have, I'm not sure if it's the one I'm going to show, and I just take a lot of reduced damage from that. Well, otherwise I would have just been, of course, one shot, which is why Defense Step is so good. But that's the kind of the build I would do. I mean, me personally, I'm going to be rocking Giant Slayer, but again, keep in mind, depending on how your playstyle is and how you feel with Kid Buu, any of these other two cards could be worth as well. But that's how I feel. So in terms of helper for Kid Buu, I'm pretty much always going to go Bola. I don't really think there's like an option. Bola slash Bubbles, of course. Some people might not have Bola, but they do the same thing. It's just a cosmetic change if you guys didn't know. The movement speed up just is so useful for him, allowing him to get out of situations again a lot easier, especially use this with his parts or his ultimate, then you use the quick zone to get out. I just think it's very useful for this guy because again, he doesn't have that great escapage. And search, you don't really need it. Maybe you could bring search if you think you might be facing a hit, but it's a bit hard to predict that. Farmer and Invisible Man like don't really match what this guy's trying to do either. So I think I'm going quick zone 9 out of 10 times with Kid Buu. Alright, so here's the Kid Buu match that I do have for this video here. This is just to show off in game how basically to use Kid Buu in an actual match. Now, this is my first actual in-game match with this guy. I hadn't played him since Battle Hour before this, so I was, you know, making sure I was really warming up to him and trying out some different things just to see what I really think about the character in terms of like super starting or his best skill. So yeah, this is pretty fun altogether. Now, as a superstar game, I did actually choose to do skill 3. This is just me testing it out. I feel like most times you're gonna want to go skill 1, though skill 3 is not like a bad answer, right? It has a lot of range and a lot of like, again, a debuff that when it's maxed out, plus it gives you extra HP. But I feel like, in my opinion, I would rather just super start skill 1. You can go either way though, honestly. If you really like skill 3, you can definitely do that, but I think from now on I'm gonna just super start skill 1. Just gives me so many extra bits to just throw around the map and be annoying and control the field a little bit, right? Now, right here in this match, we're against a Piccolo, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to secure Kai, especially with him just kind of standing back, right? And the fact that me and Vegito, we can't really, like, we could block the blast that Piccolo does to get the Kai, but it could be a little bit dangerous because we're both low HP early game, so it's not really going to be the best there. Bottom lane was also getting a little bit cooked, honestly, so it wasn't looking too hopeful early on. However, at this point, you know, I do have a build-up now available, so I'm going to just start getting these build-up stacks, make myself tankier. Now I'm just waiting for the God of Destruction. I say God of Destruction, I'm an idiot. I was waiting for Xenos just to reset, checking bot lane, make sure they're all fine there. They look to be all good. So I'm just kind of going around seeing if we can actually steal this Kai. Trying to make sure I protect Vegito by pushing these guys off. They are actually low HP, so I'm like, okay, they might be pushing back a little bit. Let me try and get Kai here, and I actually do end up getting it, which is really nice. Now, this is, again, what I'm talking about with Kid Buu, where it could be a little bit dangerous in terms of, oh, he doesn't really have a lot of HP. So you need to make sure that you're properly, like, zoning with him so that you don't die early game. He doesn't really have that much escapage. I was very luckily able to get out because my Vanish reset there. But, again, it could have been a little bit dangerous. Vegeto's going back to heal, and I noticed Piccolo's running lightning step, so that I'm like, okay, that's funny. That helps me. Kid was also running the snowball card, so it makes him just a little bit less tanky in comparison to me. Again, they were already on Kai, so I'm like, yeah, there's not really that much of a reason to go ahead and go for it. I stun Kid Buu, decided to go for my ult, and again, we can see here the ultimate doesn't really have that much, how to explain it? It like comes out slow. However, I do use my skill 3, which applied the movement speed down, into my skill 2, which then stunned Piccolo. I threw my little bit and piece out for him. He missed. He missed the special beam cannon. I'm not sure why he did that, but I was able to kill him with the arm ball because he was just kind of standing still there anyways. And now we're just going to be a little bit ready for the next boss. Now my ultimate is not going to be available for it, but neither is the enemy Kid Buu, so it's not like the biggest deal of all time. I honestly should have gone for, what's it called? Man, I was so close to killing Kid Buu. I should have gone for the farm there before. Maybe I would have been able to kill him, but it's not the biggest deal of all time. I also did not mean to level up skill 2 right there, but hey, it is what it is. I'm just trying to keep them off the boss, waiting for our Super Saiyan 3 Goku to come up, and he's still not up. I'm just continuously waiting for Super Saiyan 3 Goku to come up. It'd be really nice if he would actually appear. I get hit by Gekishin because I used my skill 3 like an idiot, and we lose boss. But then Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he ITs up, guys. After like 6 years, he finally goes up to top tower. Awesome! Isn't that so great that he just like finally appears after the team fight ends and after we lose the boss, man? After I get ulted in my face. So great, so great. I love my teammates. I love my teammates, bro. As you can tell, we're also playing with two randoms on the team. I'm actually duoing with Cherry in top lane, just so I don't lose my mind. I need like a duo. Or if you're playing this game, you have to like duo at least with one person. You have to. I'm sorry. Solo queuing, it's not it. It's not it right now. So I'm moving back up the top lane just to make sure I'm able to protect here, get a bunch of this farm. Again, Kid Buu, especially on Superstar, has pretty easy farm, so that's really good. Piccolo is deciding to rush in here, if I'm not mistaken. He throws his skill out, but I'm not sure what he was doing. He was just kind of just testing things, I guess, right? Not really much going on. Vegeta's going to get the back, so as I protect, I would have a little bit of an easier time to hold here by just throwing my bits and just using my skill 3. It just would constantly interrupt them from like hitting the tower, just constantly causing the chip, do very little damage, etc. So that's why I was holding it. For now, I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and try to sneak into this tower. I told my Vegito, hey, you know, like basically distract them and I'll sneak around the back ends. But they're all like just hugging their tower anyway, so I'm like, I don't care. Let me ult here. Now, this is a pretty bad ult for 2 reasons. One, it was a little bit too close to them. And 2, I didn't have any bits down. I thought Vegito was going to go with me, and I was like, okay, Vegito, let's go in and push this tower. But Vegito decided to go down for boss. And I feel like the smarter move there, in my opinion, would have been to push the tower, kill the God of Destruction, and then we will be able to cut through the middle. Like, how to explain it? Let me show you guys. Like, right here, this path would open up, and then we could have cut through the middle here to get to the boss right there. But, I died because of that, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I feel like if we made that push, we could have killed one of the two on top lane, and then, again, gotten a free tower, but not really the biggest deal of all time. God Vegeta is still there, and I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and just pressure God Vegeta. We see Kefla's here. I try to go ahead and get jumping on Kefla. Kefla does steal the boss, which is, again, also very annoying, but it's all good. We do end up killing Kefla, resetting things, and I was thinking like, should I push in? And then I'm like, no, let me get this farm though, just to go ahead and grab that. Now Vegeta's skill 3 is very annoying for me right there. And then did you guys see that? Like, what happened there? What was this? Did I get hit by Kid Buu skill 2 on his screen? I think that's what happened. Like, I was so mad right here. I think he hit me with the skill 2. Yeah, see, he hits me with his skill 2, and then I don't know what happened there. I didn't see the skill 2 go out. This was so annoying. Again, that's where you can see Kid Buu a little bit squishy. You don't want to push in, but that's where it's like that skill 2 doesn't really need that much investment into it. I guess the skill 2 was already maxed out since he was level 9, but you guys get the point. The skill 2 could be really good if you know where you're placing your Buu bits and things like that, which, you know, that guy did actually do pretty well right there. Also missed his ultimate, so that's pretty funny, but it's all good. From here, I just try to get all this back farm around. And yeah, that was the effective Kid Buu's ultimate, just like pushing out, which I feel like I find really, really interesting. Now, Super Saiyan Goku decided to Dragon Fist Piccolo there. I'm like, okay, that's awesome, man. You do you, man. Even though boss is like coming up very soon. Let's Dragon Fist right before the boss comes up, guys. Isn't that so great? It's fine. He would likely be able to get his Dragon Fist up. His Dragon Fist doesn't have that much of a cooldown anyways. I'm just like, probably could have saved that, man. It's not the biggest deal, but oh well. It is what it is at the point. I did want to get level 11, but there's just no farm around that I could reasonably grab. I saw that they're on bottom taking that farm, so I didn't want to rush in there because obviously if they're taking all the farm, they're probably like grouped up together. Right here, I'm like, should I go for tower maybe? I decided to go ahead and get level 11. I see Kid Buu's down there, so I get a little scared, and I'm like, I don't want Kid Buu to kind of rush on this tower. That would really suck. So I'm just circling around here, making sure we're good. However, we see Kefla and Kid Buu are there together. So I'm here just trying to target Kid Buu. I get him in the stun. I ult. And then I think I'm able to almost get him. He was 1, but he escapes with his ultimate, which is, again, really good for that boy. We do secure boss. I think I actually do kill Kid Buu there. Goodbye. I think that was just a stretch attack. There was no, like, Giant Slave didn't really affect too much there. Now, again, I'm on God Vegeta, though, which Giant Slave would help me out here, which is nice. Get the stun on him into the Super Saiyan 3 Kamehameha. Bam! They're dead. I'm like, we could push. But I decided I'm gonna go ahead and recall. Now, honestly, seeing back at the footage, Kafla appeared on the screen. I probably could have chased down Kafla with Super Saiyan 3 and killed her, but it was too late then. I was also half HP, so I'd rather not risk anything. Let me go ahead and finish up my build-up stacks. I'm so close to getting max build-up. And once I do have that, I will have just like pretty good defenses in general. I told Vegito, hey, save that farm for me down there. And Vegito does kill it. So I'm like, okay, thanks, man. Thanks, Goat. Thanks, Goat. However, we do get the final build-up stack right here. So now we're looking good. I have my ult for boss. And we should be doing pretty nice. I'm like trying to stay back just to make sure we're safe. But we got visual on Kefla. I'm like, we got to take care of this Kefla. This Kefla has got to go, man. This Kefla has got to go. She's just super annoying. However, we also saw Piccolo, and I'm like, okay, well, we could maybe take care of Piccolo here too. I saw I was in danger, so I do use my defense step to get out of that. But unfortunately, the Kid Buu arm ball does actually get me. I didn't have my skill 3 available at that point, so I couldn't get the extra health. God Vegeta does actually end up killing Kefla. W God Vegeta right there, honestly. He definitely did cook. But yeah, as you see, I have 4 kills, 4 assists, so things are going pretty good so far in general. You know, we see the difference that just like, I guess not so far the ult can make on bosses, but again, keep in mind, it is all defense down. So whenever I use my ult, it does apply a defensive debuff to whoever's in that area during the explosion, which is really huge. Now we push up and we're able to get Piccolo right here. He actually barely escapes my my ability because of the iframes, which is really annoying. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just take care of boss here. Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Let's get the defense down on the boss. I just wanted to make sure 100% I would kill. I get pushed back for Rubian, and I get really scared because Kefla comes up, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta ult. I gotta ult this. I get killed, but we kill Rubian. You know why I kill Rubian instead of the Kefla? Because of the fact that we have less boss damage reduction. Now, if you guys don't know how the game works, essentially, the more bosses you kill, the more amount of damage reduction the boss has against you. So if you have 2 bosses dead or 3 bosses dead, you have a 50% damage reduction against, or the boss has 50% damage reduction against any damage you would do. So that basically allows them to eat your attacks a lot better, which allows the other team to secure these bosses a lot better, which is, you know, why it's like, you might have a harder time getting triple boss, and the enemy team has an easier time denying you triple boss in situations where, you know, you don't like just like demolish them in terms of levels and things like that. I think that's cool. But that's why that Kefla couldn't get that boss right there, and why I was able to get Jacko, because of the fact that I just do more damage to the boss. Even though Kefla obviously is like more of a damage based character, I just like was able to outburst her there compared to how her ultimate worked as well. So it was just a combination of things. Now they only have 1 tower, we have 3. I'm like, okay, let's push in. Let's just see what happens here. Let's go ahead and try to take out Piccolo. I ult Piccolo right there. I do end up killing him. Kefla's right here. Kefla ults me like an annoying little brat, but she's almost won. I'm like, Kefla's won. God Vegeta. God Vegeta, lock in, buddy. God Vegeta, lock in, man. So they're all dead now, which is like, okay, that's cool. That's awesome. They're all dead. So we should be able to get some chips now. Like God Vegeta, you should be able to get some chips. Vegito had a recall. He was just too low. But luckily, God Vegeta, again, is able to get those chips off, which is nice for us. The tower, again, looking a lot better, but not really that many chips in total. However, now we're in a bit of a pickle because, okay, well, Super Saiyan 3 Goku I cheated, but didn't really go for chips in the tower. Then God Vegeta is just going to get cornered. We're thinking, you know, we could push in to help God Vegeta, but at that point, he's probably going to be a little bit too low. But we tried our best anyways, just to reach him. But no, it didn't work. So I'm like, okay, well, probably best to just protect from here. Like, you just got to hold our tower, make sure that they won't kill it. But again, we have such a huge advantage, and even if they get this bottom tower, like they would have to go from this bottom tower all the way to the top tower up here. God Vegeta throws his ult down, but I decide to avoid it completely and try to corner Piccolo was my plan. Use my skill 2, stun him, get him taken care of. Now I try to chase down Kefla, but she's just out damaging and outranging me, so I'm like, yeah, actually, never mind. Never mind, bro. Kefla, you're good. You're good. At this rate, we could pretty much just push though. 2 of them are dead. I decided to heal just to be sure we'll be safe. But yeah, as long as we all jump this Kefla here, she should just straight up die. I do rubber band her, so I couldn't actually get an assist or a kill on that, but that's fine. I have my ultimate as well, so I'm like, okay, I have all my bits down. Let's go ahead and get my ultimate off. And now all this area is covered in the kind of Kid Buu field. We get the team wipe right there with Kid Buu, so both Xanos are here anyways. Very unfortunate for the enemy team. As you see there, I did use defense step to kind of move around this mushroom cannon. I saw Piccolo was right there, just sitting there charging. He thought he could hit me, but yeah, that's it for that match example. I do get MVP because I'm pretty good. Again, it showed where Kid Buu, while squishy, could actually still do a lot of damage and do a lot of good things in terms of area control and whatnot. But that is everything for Kid Buu. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know what you're thinking about this guy. I hope this helps you play him a bit better. And I appreciate y'all for watching. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.